A year after winning the SEC East and beating Georgia and Jacksonville, Dan Mullen has been let go by the University of Florida. Dating back to the Gators' last 3 games of 2020, they are 2-9 against Power 5 teams, and Mullen saw his team quit on him in back-to-back years. The expectations for the Florida Gators are high, as they expect to compete for the SEC title and the college football playoffs, and they should, due to being in such fertile recruiting grounds. Mullen was given the opportunity to coach in the regular season finale against Florida State, but turned it down, so Greg Knox will be the interim head coach. The Gators will be looking for their 4th head coach in 8 years, with AD Scott Strickland saying, "The challenge has been we haven't been able to sustain it. You've got to put really good structure and culture in place in order to sustain a high level over a long period of time, and that's going forward what we've got to focus on." So now, we have another crazy job opening in an insane college football coaching carousel. But who's going to be considered for the job? Let's talk about that. So I want to talk about some guys that I saw mentioned it in one place or another, but I don't really see them leaving their current situation, or I see them taking another job. So this is more of the honorable mention list. The big one, James Franklin seems happy, well, in Happy Valley. And there are talks about them signing a contract extension. Also, if Franklin leaves Penn State, I see him taking the USC job for some reason. It's just what my gut is saying. Luke Fickell has Cincinnati fighting for a playoff spot and is the hottest name on the coaching carousel. The issue is, Fickell is a born and bred Ohioan, and if the Bearcats make the playoffs this year, along with joining the Big 12 in a few years, why would you leave Cincy? Matt Campbell is another big name, but the Cyclones have lost at least 5 games in 5 of his 6 years at Iowa State. Mark Stoops has Kentucky finishing 2nd in the SEC East this year and is a man of consistency, winning between 5 and 10 games each season since 2014. The issue? Would Stoops leave Kentucky with ultimate job security? Jeff Hafley is a bright young mind in the game. Hafley has squeezed every last ounce out of the Eagle in his past 2 seasons. There have been injury problems at quarterback and missed back-to-back 6 and 5 seasons. Hafley has 7 years NFL experience and was Chase Young's defensive coordinator at Ohio State in 2019. If the 5 candidates I mentioned in a minute don't say yes, Hafley would be a fine second-tier option. Dave Clawson is a well-respected coach who made lead Wake Forest to the ACC championship game this year. The issue? Their defense has been Swiss cheese, letting up 148 points combined in the last 3 games. Now, let's talk some coordinators. If you can't talk Jimbo Fisher from leaving Texas A&M, why not go after the next best thing, his defensive coordinator? Mike Elko is having a fantastic season with the Aggies, ranked in the top 10 and number 2 against the run. If we are staying with coordinators, another defensive coordinator is Dan Lanning, who has spent the past 4 years at Georgia and is a young, energetic choice. He may not be a top name just yet, but if the Gators decide to go risky, he could be someone to watch. Lastly, Bill O'Brien could be a name to watch after the success he had at Penn State while they were dealing with the fallout of everything that happened. He is a coach worth mentioning, but I don't see him taking one of the premier jobs. I see him replacing someone who leaves for a top 5 job. Now, let's talk about my top 5 candidates for this job. I almost threw Bob Stoops on the honorable mention part of this list, but for some reason, my gut told me to put him in the top 5 section of this list. Currently, Stoops is working as a Fox analyst, but had a lot of success at Oklahoma. Strickland needs to make the call just to hear Stoops say no, because on the off chance he says yes, he could be a great Gators coach. The issue is, Stoops has been mentioned in the Florida coaching vacancy multiple times in the past while he was still at Oklahoma and turned it down. That is why he is my 5th rated candidate for this job opening. Still, he is Steve Spurrier's former defensive coordinator, and the two are still really close. Spurrier is still with the Gators in an honorary role, and at age 61, if he does want to come out of retirement, Florida is one of the premier jobs to do so due to playing in the SEC and being one of the biggest name schools in one of the most premier recruiting grounds in the country. Coming in at number 4 is Mario Cristobal. The hard part for Cristobal, and the reason I don't have him higher on this list, is that I don't know if he will actually leave Oregon. The amount of money thrown into the program and the facilities in Eugene are insane. He is looking to leave though, because he doesn't know if he can get the Ducks over the hump. Florida may be a perfect match. He has had a lot of success on the recruiting trail and has ties to the SEC and the state of Florida. He is a proven Power 5 head coach that does not bring the headlines that someone else on this list might bring. The main issue is, though, the fact that he may not want to leave Oregon. Now, we get to my 3 serious coaching candidates. I think when the dust settles, one of these 3 coaches will be the Gators head coach for 2022. Coming in at number 3 is Billy Napier. Currently, Napier has Louisiana sitting at 10-1 with their only loss coming to Texas. He has turned down a number of big offers the past few off seasons, waiting for the right opportunity, and Florida could finally be that job. He is 31-5 at Louisiana and comes from the Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney coaching tree. According to Sports Illustrated, to varying degrees, Napier has been connected to vacancies at Auburn, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Baylor, Tennessee, Missouri, and Arkansas. Some situations were too chaotic at the time, like when Auburn was in the midst of an all-out boardroom war between its administration, boosters, and fans at the time Napier interviewed. Others had looming NCAA penalties that made them unpalatable, Tennessee and Baylor, and still others simply balked when Napier laid out the resources he needed to be successful, South Carolina. Whoever takes the Florida job will be expected to recruit at a high level because there is no reason they should not be in the top 5 rated schools when it comes to recruiting rankings every year, and Napier has been praised by many for how well of a job he has done on the recruiting trail. I wanted to put Napier at number 2 on this list, but the next candidate is so polarizing, I needed to keep him at number 2. Coming in at number 2 is Lane Kiffin. Kiffin has already been open about being interested in the Miami job if it were to come open, so you would expect him to be interested in the Florida job as well. He has recruited the state before, coaching at Florida Atlantic previously, and has experienced success and failure at some of the biggest coaching jobs in the country. He is also considered an offensive mastermind. Kiffin is also known for being a pretty good recruiter. He is a name everybody knows if you follow college football at all. The problem is, because he is so polarizing, you either love him or you hate him. It may be hard for an athletic director to get everyone to sign off on him as a hire. He's constantly making headlines, and there's a chance he is just putting his name out there for these jobs to get a major extension. I think if Florida were to hire Kiffin, it will either be an amazing hire, or they will be looking for a new coach in just a few years. I don't see there being a middle ground. And then coming in at the number 1 spot for the Florida head coaching job is Baylor head coach Daveranda. I have followed Aranda's career since he was at Wisconsin, and he has found success at every place he has coached at. He is not going to win the press conference, but he will win you games. He has already turned the Baylor program around and has them on the verge of making the Big 12 championship game if Oklahoma State beats the Sooners this weekend. He has recruited in the SEC before when he was the defensive coordinator at LSU. Look at how bad LSU has been since Aranda left for the Baylor head coaching job, and it shows the type of impact he has. He may not be on a lot of people's potential list because he's not viewed as the sexiest pick, but if Florida wants to win, they really need to consider Aranda. But what do you think? Who should Florida hire to be their next head coach? Let me know in the comments section below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out my other videos right here. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.